Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce. And Joyce, it's the last day of Emmys voting. We're recording this on Monday. So now we could say, it's not going to go up though until after close. So we could just say whatever we want.
No impact whatsoever.
Nothing. Whatever we say here will not matter.
Yeah, there's about, I guess, 12 hours left in voting.
Yeah. Whatever we say, we will not impact voting. But we're not going to do our final predictions. Some people I've seen, Joyce, some pundits have put up their final picks.
Which is crazy because voting is still going on.
Oh, tough look. That's a tough beat. We're not going to do that. We're going to do our final picks next week. So this week, we're still talking about the same shows we've been talking about for 4 months. This time in the limited series categories, Joyce. Our favorite.
Best/worst genre this year.
The best. Just what a time. I would say a couple of things I've noticed in the last week or so, or last time since we've talked about this. I always try to figure out what is getting pushed, by the media class and the consultants, let's say. I feel like we're getting a big renewed push for Pam and Tommy. I've seen a lot of Lily James, a lot of Sebastian Stan stuff.
I feel like that's been pretty consistent since the show premiered, though.
They're really they
never died off. Remember, it was partially for Fresh too, because he presented with Daisy Edgar Jones at BAFTA.
Yes.
Sebastian Stan. Yeah. So he's been everywhere.
They've not stopped. They're still everywhere. That was one thing I've noticed. And the other thing, and this is just because of me, I feel like, or my own interests, Matthew Good getting a lot of really great support, even though has not translated a lick in our predictions.
Do we want to just do supporting actor right now?
So supporting actor remains completely unhinged, and yet somehow Matthew Good is buried in the odds. I have him winning. I still have him winning.
Where is he?
Let's see. According to our odds, he's hold on. I have the wrong tab open as usual. What are you gonna do? I'll just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's 10th in the odds.
Okay, so
out of 7.
I mean, we've discussed this multiple times already, and
yes,
the people love the show and love.
It is the people's fave.
And honestly, if you watch the show, it is very hard to be I'm not going to vote for him because he's great on the show.
He is.
Yeah, you just have to watch the show.
Fave. And I think here's my thinking, and this is why I remain bullish on him specifically. I think people did watch the show. I think a lot of people watched this show. It seemed like it was pretty popular, like you said, for the regular folks. And I think even if you're a Television Academy member who is a little more highfalutin than what The Offer has to offer, you might be told from your friends who are not in the industry, you know what show I've been watching? The Offer. You know what's a good show? The Offer. It feels like it had a lot of that kind of interest.
So yeah, the other thing was obviously it got terrible to mixed reviews, right? The show.
Yeah.
And but we went over the scores a couple weeks ago, how it's in the gutter critically, but the audience scores is A in the 90s, you know?
Yeah.
And I think, was it last week we talked about this too? It feels like people are watching the show the wrong way. They don't understand the tone. You're taking it way too seriously. It's just a fun show. You just have to go with it. It's obviously taking a lot of liberties, but once you realize what it's doing, just go with it. It's highly entertaining.
It really is. And I just I'm looking at these performances and supporting actors since you brought it up. You brought up the category, so we're gonna just do the category.
I mean, you mentioned his name first.
That's true, I did. I don't know. A lot of these are good performances, but none of them are as boing eyeball emoji as Matthew Good, I feel like. So I think he's gonna
his hardest thing, his biggest hurdle is to get in.
Right.
I think if he gets in, he can actually win.
I do think he can win. Yeah, because I just think the rest of the category is not as strong. I mean, we've talked right now in the odds, and I have most of these people predicted. I'm sure you do as well. Murray Bartlett remains out in front for White Lotus. He's been a steamroll here for months. It feels like White Lotus premiered last summer, and he was a favorite in the winter, and remains very highly rated here. Peter Sarsgaard for Dopesick just continues to hang around, and I guess it's good performance. Don't see a lot of people talking about it.
This is what I think, and we're guilty of this too, but we're just thinking, oh, the 3 shows from last year, 2021. I wouldn't even call them the big 3. They're just the 3 shows from last year. because big three implies dominance, and they were not dominating anything really. And
no, they were the three that were left behind.
Yeah, that are eligible this year.
Yes.
So we're just kind of thinking they're benefiting from additional exposure because they've been out longer and people watch these shows. So if they're kind of just like meh on these acting categories on an unlimited ballot, maybe they're just checking off people from shows that they've seen.
Correct.
Instead of like the 20 million new spring shows that they have not been able to watch yet.
So that seemingly is the idea behind Peter Sarsgaard and also Michael Stuhlbarg, both of whom for Dopesick would get in according to our odds. They're second and fifth. Naveen Andrews for The Dropout, Nick Robinson for Maid, Seth Rogen for Pam and Tommy, William H. Macy for The Dropout. This one I still don't understand. I assume it's just because like I love him on The We Crashed, but O.T. Fagbenle for First Lady playing Barack Obama. I don't think
I
First
feel like
Lady
that's
is,
just kind of like people not updating.
so I feel like that's one. And then your favorite Wyatt Russell, I feel like could also get in because I think that that's another show that has been widely apparent. I feel like it's been widely seen. I think that's another one that people were into.
It's a show that if you've seen it, it has its share of fans. You know,
Right.
I don't think it's been watched a lot by people, and I think it's a tough watch for some people as well. And it's also very long. Every episode over an hour. Finale 90 minutes. And you know, probably the most serious subject matter, and not a lot of levity either. So
No, not the most fun.
yeah,
Not like The Offer. It's not
no,
a
no,
rip roaring.
like opposite ends of the spectrum here.
It's not a rip roaring fun time. Like
No,
our
but
pals at
both
The Offer.
Matthew Good and Wyatt Russell really great on their respective shows.
And then after Matthew Good, who was in 10th, then you got a couple of White Lotus guys, Steve Zahn and Jake Lacy. I would actually put both of them in. That's the thing. I don't understand like how this category, like if it was me personally, I would have like 3 White Lotus guys in there. Plus Matthew Good.
Steven, I mean, we've talked about Jake before because his character is just a dick.
He's such a delicious dick, though.
Yeah,
It feels
I know.
like the kind of
he played it so
performance-
well.
I think people would love to hate him. I find that like really cathartic.
Yeah.
And I think Steve Zahn is like really, really strong. I love his Gen X ineffective dad, as you can imagine. So I was into him as well. I don't know. I could just see these people getting in, but who knows? Maybe not.
I mean, yeah, I think if The Offer were on another platform as well with higher visibility, people might have
True.
slightly more confidence.
I guess let me ask you this, and you can't answer this probably because you can't read the minds of our odds and our people predicting. But I don't understand why Stuhlbarg and Sarsgaard have gotten the Dopesick bump, but like Jake
Will
Lacy,
Poulter.
but like Jake Lacy and Steve Zahn haven't for White Lotus. When I think White Lotus probably is just as strong of a contender across the board in these categories as Dopesick, because White Lotus could get like 3 or 4 supporting actress nominations as well.
I think it's like we said, like Jake's character is an ass and unlikable. Although that doesn't really matter for like men, it matters more for women.
Sure.
And I think Dopesick is the more serious show about the more serious subject matter, where the White Lotus is a satire that I think some people don't get and Flash do not like either, you know?
I wonder, so here's the thing with these, I guess, and the other thing I would wonder is, especially for these shows, and we could throw Maid in too, I guess a little, though I think it more applies to like Dopesick and White Lotus, is like not a lot of people have probably gone back and rewatched them. So they're like then relying on their memories of the show. And so is your memory of Dopesick, which is like a serious, heavy drama, versus your memory of White Lotus, what's the difference? Like, you know what I mean? Like, do people like fondly remember White Lotus and like kind of gloss over the parts of the show that didn't work or they didn't like? And they're like, oh, that was a fun show. I enjoyed watching that. And Dopesick, they might be like, that was a great show, but wow, I don't want to watch that again. It was so dark and heavy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea. And I'm like, maybe that'll factor into this too.
Yeah, because the other thing is, going back to last year, I think Queen's Gambit, highly rewatchable, right?
Right.
And my friend who knows like nothing about awards or really is like plugged into like entertainment at all, like she didn't know like who Jean Smart was. She just loved the mom on Mayor of Easttown. I was like rude to Jean Smart, but she would text me every week when Mayor was airing about how much she loved the show, and she rewatched it. This is a regular person. She's a doctor, like knows nothing about like Emmys, like whatever. So yeah, so I don't know the rewatchability factor on these older and I also don't think, given the influx of new shows in spring, you would even have the time to go back.
No,
unless you did it over the winter, like for those awards.
I agree with you. The other person I wanted to ask you about was Seth Rogen for Pam and Tommy. I have him in as well. He's comfortably seated there in the 6th spot, it seems, according to our odds. But does he get like here's my weird thing. I have him getting in, but neither Sebastian Stan nor Lily James.
I have the opposite. I have Lily James and Sebastian Stan and not Seth Rogen.
So like it would make sense that I should actually now, for our final predictions, maybe I will switch in Sebastian Stan and Lily James if I think Seth Rogen is going to get in. And then if the 3 of them get in, shouldn't the show get in? Even if the show's not very good?
I mean, no, not necessarily.
It could be just like the 3 actors get in.
Like,
I think Seth might get in.
Also only 5 slots in limited series.
Right. There's only 5.
Lead and supporting or 7 in supporting.
I feel like Seth will get in because the problem I have with or an issue I have with the show is that it's from his perspective largely. And I think his character is not the person the show should have been like. He should not have been our entry point, let's say. But he is very good on it. I don't know. I could see him getting in, and I could see the 2 of them getting in too then.
Well, going back to the campaign for that show, I feel like he's largely absent.
He is, but I think if you watch the show, you're like, he's great. And it's like a
but
change
if you're
of
just
pace.
relying on, like they did another Q&A, it's usually just Sebastian.
It's just the 2 of them. But then who would get in? I guess, do you have William H. Macy in for Dropout?
Yes.
So I don't think I have him in. And I'm not sure if he'd get in because it's a small part, but maybe I would put him in. I also don't have Stuhlbarg in.
Does that like really matter?
No. And then I have Tim McGraw.
They went back to him last year for Shameless.
I have Tim McGraw in for 1883.
I don't have any 1883 people in or in series, even though I strongly am considering it for series.
I have it in for series. The other show I was wondering about too was Gaslit. Again, another show that not a lot of visibility on Stars. But
yeah, again, I think if that were on like HBO or like HBO Max,
it would be major.
Like everyone would be predicting Julia Roberts right now.
Absolutely. I wonder though, that's another show I feel like they've done a good job of getting it out. It is still Stars.
I feel like they do their best. And
I don't know how many people are watched, but I could see it. And then I'm like, oh, does like, if that somehow surprisingly gets like a lot of, if the only people who watch there in the Television Academy just like Shea Wingham get in, or it's like something strange here.
Yeah, Shea and Dan Stevens.
Or Dan Stevens.
Really good. I put Julia back in last week.
Let me take a look if I have Julia in. We can switch to there.
I don't know. I sacrificed Anne Hathaway, our beloved Anne Hathaway.
No, so I have Anne in still. I don't have.
I also put in Lily James as well.
So I might put Lily James. I'm going to put Lily James in right now. We're doing it live. I'm putting Lily James in. So here I have Amanda Seyfried, Margaret Qualley, Chastain, Julia Garner, Anne Hathaway, and Lily James. Love that group. No Julia. I think Julia Garner gets in because I think she'll get in based on the fact that people really like her. And the idea of the show is fun, even if
I took her out because I also had to put Toni Collette in.
I don't have Toni Collette in. Maybe I should. We'll worry about this for final predictions, Joyce. Let me know.
You have another week.
I have another week. I did not have to post my predictions yet. We did not do that here. This is another, again, a crazy deep category. I refuse to take out Anne Hathaway. I'm just going down with the ship. She's got to get in. She did another magazine cover this week or last week. Interview magazine, I think, right?
Yeah, and a wild photo shoot as well.
Wild photo shoot. Mm-hmm. She is very much going for it. And I think in a way that's like subtle because it's just like, it doesn't seem like it's like, I feel like the peg is not We Crashed. All her
No,
work.
it's just like Anne Hathaway on a magazine cover.
Correct. But then you read it and you're like, oh yeah, I remember Anne Hathaway was on We. So it feels like to me, it feels like campaigning, but not campaigning because obviously
I think part of it is also because she was just in Cannes last week with Armageddon Time. So it kind of overlaps with that press as well. So it's not solely about We Crash.
It has a lot of that, but I also wonder if it's a strategy because like we've talked about like on our Oscars playback recently when we were talking about how like people were excited about their winnings and then like Anne was like denigrated for being
Like,
excited.
crucified 10 years ago.
Crucified for wanting to win an Oscar and like campaigning for it and pushing for it. So now I feel like when she is campaigning for award stuff, she has to feel like she's not campaigning, so people are not backlashing her.
Also, I think it's different because she's already an Emmy winner. She won for The Simpsons. So
right.
She doesn't have to go all out to get another Emmy. This will be her second Emmy.
She doesn't, but I would say this is like this is like one of her best performances.
It is. It's great. And it's also similar to The Offer and Gaslit. It's like, are people watching this show?
Again, anecdotally, the real people I know, We Crash is one of the only shows that I think most people I know has watched. It was.
I mean, again, none of my friends have Apple, so
it was the draw.
I personally don't know people who've seen the show.
It was the draw of Jared and Anne together that, like, I think people really responded to.
Jared is also movie stars. Repellent to certain people.
Certain people online. I think in real life he's not. I think like the.
No, I think like his peers do like him, and obviously he's been working a lot, like, you know, like a 30-year career basically. Nominated at SAG twice for Oscar snub roles.
Yes.
So yeah, it's really like the internet that hates him.
Yeah. So I could see her getting in. I have him getting in. I'm like all in on We Crash, and I have it in for series. I'm just going in. You know, Apple put a lot of money into it. It felt like. Just follow the money, Joyce. That was what they told me in All the President's Men. For actor, I've got the same group. I finally gave up on Ben Foster, Joyce.
I know we talked about this last week.
So I have Samuel Jackson in.
I'm probably gonna end up putting Sam in instead of my guy Paul, because I already dropped Claire Foy from actress, but I still have Paul in right now to support him.
I don't have Sebastian Stan in. I'm trying to figure out where I would put him in, and I think if I drop someone, the logical choice would be Jared, but I actually might drop Oscar Isaac for Scenes from a Marriage when I do this in my final picks.
Why?
Because I think Scenes from a Marriage is, again, one of those shows that people have forgotten about. First of all, it came out, I think, in September of last year.
It was that the 5-week period before Succession returned.
Yes. I remember you predicted that it would, when Succession was going to return based on the premiere date for Scenes from a Marriage. The other thing about Scenes from a Marriage is big bummer, I would say.
Yes.
And no rewatchability.
No.
And I think,
good acting.
Great acting, lovely acting, beautiful gowns.
Yeah, beautiful gowns, great gowns.
Great gowns. But I think if people were like, I think if you're sitting there remembering Scenes from a Marriage, you might be like, I don't know if I'm not sold.
But you're gonna keep Jessica because she won the Oscar.
Yes, that's why I have her in, because she won an Oscar. Oscar Isaac, I think I don't have in because of that. Get him an Oscar.
But do you think because I think most people are predicting him for Scenes from a Marriage, not Moon Knight.
I don't think he would get in for Moon Knight, no, either. Though I would argue it's a better performance. I was really taken by his Moon Knight.
I know, because he has two different accents.
Believe it's two different guys. I just believe it. It totally sold me. I don't know. I could see him not getting in for either. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, he got the SAG now, but you could also just say, it was Baron back then.
That's what I was thinking, and that's why I'm like, oh, maybe he's out. Now, if Jared and Oscar don't get in, I think you have Samuel Jackson, Sebastian Stan, and then maybe like Sam Elliott, our good friend, for 1883.
So you're predicting multiple 1883 actors except for Sam Elliott.
That's right.
Okay.
I think the Jane Campion stuff is still going to stick with him for another few months.
Jane Campion's favorite actor, Sam.
Yeah. And then last one we didn't even talk about here was supporting actress. So I saw one prediction this week that had 4 White Lotus ladies, just all of them. Natasha Rothwell.
I have 3.
I guess I don't. I have 2. I still don't have Alexander Daddario. I'll tell you who I did put in. Did we talk about this? Daniel Deadweiler and Julia Binoche. I have both of them in.
Yes, we talked about this last week.
So love them.
Yeah, I have 3 of them. I mean, Natasha could get in just because literally like all of her scenes are with Jennifer Coolidge. If you think Jennifer Coolidge is the favorite here, you know?
That's one compelling case for it. And she's, I would argue, probably like, I don't know if likable, like, is she the most, like, is she the character most people would be like most empathetic toward?
I don't know. I mean, like, which one of these are you most empathetic towards?
I mean, like, from like the show, because like everybody in the show is kind of like not great, right? Like they're all like, it's like a warts and all, but I think her character is like the most like human.
Yeah.
You feel bad for her because the way she's like kind of manipulated.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if like all three of I have three of them, so
I don't have her getting in either. I only have two. I don't have Alexandra Daddario in, though maybe that's foolish because like she should just get in. I do have Faith Hill in though. Yeehaw. Is that what they say on 1883? Yeehaw.
Sure, and then they'll say it again on 1923.
Yeah.
Harrison
Not
Ford.
1932, Joyce.
No, they went back in time.
1923, and then they're saving 1932, I think, for next year, maybe.
Yeah, the Taylor Sheridan universe is just going to keep expanding. Yeah, I told you this last week. I kept going back and forth on Juliet, so I still have her out, and I have Laurie Metcalf. And
I'm torn on Laurie Metcalf because she's so good on it, and she's got the great scenes, but she still only has like 2 scenes.
No, I mean she's
it's
not.
More than 2.
She's like William H Macy. Like they're not in the beginning a lot, and then they come back at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could have Juliet in if I drop like Alexandra, so I could have both of them in.
I mean, that's what I did. I don't have Alexandra in. I love Alexandra on the show, and she is quite good on it. And she's another person who I feel like really went for it in here in the calculus, but I don't know if she's going to get in.
Also, is everyone just completely overestimating how much they love the White Lotus cast?
I mean, that's what we don't know, right? Like, it does feel like, again, it's one of the holdovers from last year. It was really well liked. It did pretty well in the Winter Awards. And then everybody's just like, everybody is going to get in. But I could see, what if just Jennifer Coolidge gets in?
It didn't even do that well in the Winter Awards.
I mean, I would argue, I honestly was thinking about this recently, like, maybe I'm slow on the uptake here, and maybe our odds are slow too. But I was like, Jennifer Coolidge was always in. I think I always had her winning for months. But the other 2 actresses, Connie Britton and Alexandra Daddario, were not necessarily as sure of a thing as they are now.
It's just the way this spring unfolded.
Right.
Like, are we going to go back to these people?
That seemingly is it, that there was not enough of a slam dunk couple of nominees here, and then everybody just kind of defaulted back to White Lotus. But maybe that's incorrect, because like you said, like, are people that infatuated with it? Do they remember it that well? Do they even care? I don't know.
Is Ellen Burstyn still in like the top 7?
I think she is. Let me look. I'm scrolling. Hang on. She's 6th.
Wow. What if she does get in? I mean,
she could, right? I don't know.
I mean, she wasn't in another show, The First Lady. Did people watch that?
I don't know. I don't know if they did.
It ended, I think, 10 days ago, 11 days ago.
And I guess the other thing I was wondering is, like, for all the White Lotus lady like support, no Sydney Sweeney for White Lotus. How come Chief Willoughby? She's the best. She was the best part of the whole show to me.
And go predict her.
I'm not going to predict her because I don't think any of these people are going to get in for White Lotus. I just think Jennifer Coolidge might get in. But I'm like, Sydney Sweeney was absolutely the best part of the show. I thought her character.
I mean, the
was
other
great.
people in this category. So you have, I mean, also Anika Noni Rose, who I've also considered, because she has. We all know her episode submission would be 4.
Right.
She has that monologue, that scene. I've also thought about putting in Edie Falco, because she got in last time for that Law and Order Menendez show that nobody watched.
Edie Falco would be good. And I just saw somebody and I was wondering, how about this one? Melanie Linsky, a double nom for Candy.
I mean, if they're going way in on her, sure.
They really like her and she's really out there.
So did you watch Candy? I watched Candy.
I did not watch Candy.
I watched Candy. And I think Jessica Biel was really good in it, and I would not be surprised if she got in. I don't know if I would nominate Melanie for this, but if they just go hard on her, like, I'm not gonna be shocked that she's a double nominee with this.
I mean, that's how come I have Julia Garner in, because I think they're just gonna go hard on her.
Well, at least Julia Garner is a 2-time winner,
right,
already.
But I mean, how many tweets
and
does she have about her compared to Millie
you know
Lindsay?
that Defending Anna, even though it was a mess of a show, that it was watched, even if it was watched to be mocked. So
Yeah, everyone watched Inventing Anna, all of it, all long hours of it. Trish, do you want to?
so you dropped your girl Juno for the offer, Juno Temple.
I sadly did. I don't have her as a double nom.
Wow.
I interviewed her, so it would definitely feels like a dereliction of duty to drop her out of my predictions. But
Someone like you.
I just think that like if you're watching The Offer, as much as I really like her performance, I think it's like the third or fourth or fifth performance that you're really paying attention to. You know, it's not her fault. It just is like she's got Matthew Good doing stuff. Bern Gorman is incredible as like Charlie Bloodhorn. Even Miles Teller, I think Miles is great on it. So I think she's like not top of mind. And there are other worthy contenders. So I don't know.
You're not banking on the Ted love to translate to the Offer.
That would be the only thing. But again, because Ted is not as strong of a candidate this year as it was last year, I actually don't think it will translate. It's because it's not on. Do you want to look at directing for a limited? We were talking about this before, but in the ballots, we didn't really go over directing and writing for a limited series or
kind of chaotic for limited, except for the White Lotus because Mike White did everything.
Yes. So scrolling through, I'm just looking at like.
Are we on directing?
Yeah, let's do directing first.
Directing.
I'll tell you one who actually should get in, will not get in. You will love this too. Akiva Schaffer for Chippendale. Fantastic work.
I mean, a real director, like best TV movie, like Chippendale should win.
It should win, and he's a real director. Really good stuff. Highly enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Limited directing, yeah. So all over the place again, just like series. I think Mike White is getting in, obviously.
I think Mike White would get in. I think Taylor Sheridan could get in for 1883.
Yeah, it depends on. I mean, I would nominate the 3 shows first from last year.
Made.
So they only submitted John Wells, which is also a good call. You know, because they had multiple directors.
Yes.
And they did John Wells. I think this is the finale. Let me see.
Yeah, we were talking about this before. It's difficult because everything is by name, not episode. So you don't know.
Well, it's also because these shows are not, unless you're like a huge stan of the show, you don't know the episode titles. And it's not even like one of those shows where the general public knows every episode by title or a certain episode.
My hot take is that for limited series, they should actually do direct like a cumulative director. Like,
well, you can only, that's if you direct the whole series.
I think it should just be the whole series. It should be made directing because it's like, even if there are separate
So you mean
directors,
the whole directing team?
Yeah, I do. Because I think even if it's separate directors, they're obviously all working together.
Yeah, I think they should, because the daytime Emmys do that. They honor the whole directing team or the whole writing team.
Because it's just silly.
Emmys,
right.
It's only if you direct the entire series that you can submit for the whole series.
So like, I mean, thinking about like this, like for The Dropout, there's 2 contenders. It's Michael Showalter for Green Juice, I think, which is the 3rd episode. And then Francesca Gregorini for Iron Sisters, which is the 6th episode, if memory serves. Iron Sisters is absolutely the better episode, I would argue, than Green Juice. And it's like really good. Michael Showalter, though, should get the recognition because he directed a lot of the series, including the first 3 episodes,
the series,
and set the tone. But I mean, if you were just nominating based on the episode submissions, like Francesca would get in, I think, and that's fine. But like, I think if it was a cumulative thing, you'd obviously have Michael getting recognition too. That's how come I would think you should do both.
Yeah, it would be better that way because it's like especially if you're honoring the whole series, but for primetime, they consider this like individual achievements, like for one episode, you know, unless you directed the whole series.
And I guess the other problem I have too is the way we watch limited series now. It's like, I don't know if people are actually delineating that different people are directing the episodes.
No.
Because it's like
I don't think people know that unless it's like people like us, you know, unless you care about this type of stuff, that you know that Mike White did the whole everything on White Lotus. You know? And
it's like one story you're telling. So it does feel like it should be like, if these are long movies, these limited series, which a lot of them basically are, or would have been movies like 10 years ago, then I think you should just do like a team directing nomination for these shows. But since that's not what we have multiple submissions for many shows.
Yeah. So I don't think The Dropout will get in 2 episodes.
No.
So then it's also a question of, do you think The Dropout will get in at all?
I don't think it will. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't. Okay, so we have a spot for Mike White made because they submitted 1 episode for John Wells. So Dope Sick, I think they only submitted Danny Strong too.
They
right?
did, and I think that'll get in.
Yeah, I think that's the finale they submitted. Yeah, so that's 3 already. So there's 6 slots. Yeah, so you don't think The Dropout will get in?
I don't. I think you could end up with like
I think The Staircase.
I was going to say The Staircase. They only submitted, I think, 1. It's Antonio Campos, and it seems like it's the first episode, perhaps. 911. It's called. Is that the first one?
Yeah.
So I think that'll get in. That's 4.
Yeah, and the way that the show is directed anyway, with it's very flashy.
Right.
Yeah, I think Taylor Sheridan can do it as well.
Do you think so? Other ones I was thinking of, like, and this is based on name recognition / whatever. I mean, like Under the Banner of Heaven, Dustin Lance Black, I think could get in.
They submitted multiple people.
They did submit multiple people, but I think if you see his name, you're going to say, I know him from winning an Oscar. So I don't know, maybe.
I mean, we have Tommy Schlamme.
True. The
also,
other one
the best episode of Under the Banner of Heaven is the 6th one, which is directed by Isabel Sandoval. But I don't know if like the show was strong enough to, and also with 4 submissions where people are going to be like, we're backing her, but like this episode, like we know this is like the best episode of the season,
Right. I don't know. Do you think like the other one I was looking at was like We Crashed, John Requa,
Yeah.
Glenn Ficarra?
You go ahead and predict it.
I'm not going to predict it, but I mean, they're pretty significant directors, certainly. Station 11, any of these like TV auteurs getting in? Hiro Murai, Jeremy.
I mean, like, I think Hiro could.
Me too, based on just his name again.
Yeah, or Jeremy. Did they submit Jeremy?
They did.
Yeah.
And Helen Shaver. All 3 are like legit directors. And that feels like a show that could get in those categories, if not like the main categories.
Yeah, I mean, I think more so in writing, because the writers are a little bit more discerning than the directing branch.
Right.
The branch can be kind of lazy too.
I mean, we're really running out of shows, Joyce.
I mean, those are basically the top shows.
Right.
Unless, I mean, what else is there in limited series for directing? The thing about Pam,
Fallout, they've been really pushing as a movie.
I mean, your guy Barry Levinson for The Survivor.
I could see it happening.
He submitted for that, not for Dope Sick.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I mean, I could see that happening.
Scenes from a Marriage.
Conversation with Friends, my fave.
I feel like you were in and off on that really quickly.
I still like it, but I just don't think anybody else does.
Pam and Tommy submitted how many?
Multiples. Way too many.
1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I think, if that gets in, it'll probably be for Craig Gillespie.
Same. Though Lake Bell, I think you can make a good case for, because her episode was really good. And I think she's very well liked.
She's very well liked. She has a lot of friends.
Right.
And she's been directing for a while. The Offer, your fave, 2 episodes.
So they did Dexter Fletcher, who obviously directed the first 2, and then Adam Arkin, who I interviewed, Joyce. So obviously I'm in the tank for him. I honestly could see him getting in. It's a great episode, and he does a really good job on the show. And he is also another beloved industry fave who's done a lot of good work on TV as directing.
Moon Knight, 2 episodes.
I just don't believe that Moon Knight had a lot of response. I was thinking about this weekend when we were watching Miss Marvel, which is a perfectly adequate show.
It's a fun show. It's cute.
Way too long for how cute it is. Should be 28 minutes, not 48.
Yeah, it should be a 30-minute show.
I don't know why it's an hour, but I was just like, none of these shows since Loki, I have not really, none of these shows have stood out to me. It just feels like,
Wow, that's incredibly insulting to Hawkeye.
it is, but I'm just like, none of them are standing out. There's parts about every one of them that I've really liked. Certainly Loki, certainly Moon Knight and Hawkeye and even Miss Marvel. I'm like, totally adequate watches. I'm enjoying myself, but none of them are
I
like,
really like Hawkeye, which is not going to do anything in the comedy categories.
if Hawkeye
but-
was here, would you have put it in a lot of spots?
I mean, I have Florence in.
Yeah, we both had
I mean,
Florence.
I probably would have dropped her in the end anyway.
Yeah, probably.
But no. Like I think I could get some stunt stuff, like the car chase in the third episode is really good. And then, you know, the Rockefeller Center battle in the finale is really good as well.
Right.
But you know, like Moon Knight is not a WandaVision.
No.
So
Joyce, in writing, do you think it'll differ very much from what we're talking about for directing?
in writing, so Mike White.
Mike White for
I feel
sure.
like I've said his name 17 times in the last 10 minutes.
And Danny Strong for Dope Sick, I bet.
Yes. And then made for Molly Smith Metzler.
Right. I think the Dropout could get in here.
For
Liz Merriweather, I think, who wrote this first episode.
for I'm in a Hurry.
Yeah. Which I think is the first episode, yes. So I could see that one getting in.
Station 11 can get in here.
And I think Station 11 could get in here too. I agree. So I think the Dropout and Station 11 can both get in here.
Yeah. And I think The Staircase.
Same. See, it feels like the writing run is actually a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
because I also don't think they, or like the shows submitted as many, or maybe I'm just like not
Staircase just has one, Station 11 just has one. So I think Station 11 is the finale, and I actually think Staircase, let me see, Seek and Ye Shall is not the finale. Again, like we said, the not having
Staircase is 911. So no, they submitted two: Staircase, 911, and Seek. I think 911 would get in.
Yeah, that's the first episode. So
I don't Seek and You Shall. I think it's the penultimate.
Is episode 7? Yes, it is the penultimate episode. I mean, I don't know, nothing else here I'm seeing that I think will get in
for writing. I mean, remember last year WandaVision got 3 nominations.
It just shows how they're not like, when they find something they like, then they just like it. So
and
that's
also
why,
on an unlimited ballot.
So that means like you could see maybe does Staircase actually get 2 in then, right? Like if they really like it, it could.
But I don't think it was as big as WandaVision either. So it's
tough. I guess we'll have a better idea after the nominations, right? We'll be able to sit here and say, wow, they really did like this show. It'll be so much easier if only we knew the nominees right now. It would be so much easier to do this. It would be so much easier to predict if we knew what was nominated.
But this is why it's chaotic, because this is the most open genre. If they even do limited series, I don't even know.
Do we do the main limited series?
The 3 from last year. I still have The Staircase and The Dropout.
We actually didn't. That's a great segue. We did not do limited series because I forgot. I have Dope Sick, White Lotus, and Made. I have We Crashed, 1883, and that's it. But if I had a 6th, which we could do in our odds, even though there are only 5 nominees, I would do The Dropout. But I'm going against the grain. I want to have 1883 and We Crashed in because I think 1 or 2 of them will get in. So I'm just leaving them both in.
Yeah, because I can see. I think I told you, like, I have 101 odds on The Staircase, so I don't want to drop it, really.
I mean, I think The Staircase could get in. It obviously is like a prominent show.
Yeah, so then it's just like the last spot. Like, am I just going to default to The Dropout?
Or do you put Pam and Tommy in?
I don't think, like, I would do either 1883 or Under the Manor of Heaven before Pam and Tommy.
The thing I'm worried about with The Dropout is I feel like I'm a little bit in my own, like, online Twitter bubble because I feel like everyone I follow and was very into that show and I really enjoyed it, but I'm not convinced that like it had as much reach as even We Crash. I mean, honestly, like I said, like I've heard more from like real people in air quotes about We Crash than I have The Dropout, even though it's on Apple and Hulu. You know what I mean?
I don't know any regular person, real people who watch The Dropout.
So, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? Because real people aren't voting for the Emmys. But I mean, I think that is somewhat significant. And that's why I'm not convinced that maybe it's not as strong as I would have liked or thought. And based on how they pushed it, it doesn't seem like it's as noisy.
I think it is their overall number one over Pam and Tommy, like Hulu's. And like they can legit win with Amanda.
I think Amanda could definitely win, even if the show's not nominated. I think she could still win. So
it would definitely help her if the show's nominated. But that category is also so wild that it just really depends on how it plays out, that category, like the lineup. It could be like, 4 years ago when Regina King won for 7 seconds, like canceled Netflix show. But yeah, The Dropout, I think I talked about this last week. It felt like as the season aired, I thought this season got better as it aired.
Same. I agree.
And it felt like people like realize that, like the people who are watching it realize that and were pushing it that way. But I don't know if that really permeated to a wider audience.
I agree. I remember watching the first 3 and being like, this is totally
it's just a whole lot of setup. Yeah. Like
way
in a
too
movie,
much setup.
we talked about this. In a movie, it would be like 15 minutes. The first 15
so much
minutes.
setup, fine stuff. Episode 4 was incredible. That's the firework one with Alan Ruck. I was like, wow, this show is good. And then episode 5, and then I think episode 6 is Iron Sisters, which is like really good.
Yeah.
On The Dropout. So you had 4, and then 5 and 6, and then the 7 and 8 are the finale base, or 7 is the finale, right? Or is 8?
No, 8 is finale.
8 is finale. So, and those are really good too. So it does really pick up, and like it's really interesting. And I think it leaves a positive vibe behind. But again, I wonder if people are just like, yeah, I like The Dropout. The first few episodes are slow, or oh yeah, I watched the first few episodes, they were okay, and just never went back to it. And I wonder if that happened with the show. I guess we'll find out. I also wonder
if it's something like people don't care to watch something about Elizabeth Holmes. Whereas
maybe
if you're like a regular person, or whatever, like you gravitate more towards Pam and Tommy just because you remember that, and that was like such a huge thing in pop culture back then.
I do wonder if that's true. I also wonder if I do kind of wonder if, especially with like The Dropout, it's funny, like both The Dropout and We Crashed, I think take this very nuanced approach to their story where they're not sitting there condemning Elizabeth Holmes or Adam Newman, right? Like they're like, oh, they did these things. A lot of this stuff is not very good. It's just understatement, but like they're not like to be celebrated. But we're also going to show you and contextualize the world that they were inhabiting and why they made these choices, right? And like, if you're looking for a show that's going to be like, fuck Elizabeth Holmes, this is not that show. And I wonder if people are like mad, or I guess it's possible that if you watch the show, you might be like thrown off by the fact that it's not like, Salem witch trials on Elizabeth Holmes, basically.
Yeah.
And if you're an old, like, misogynistic person, maybe you're not going to like it. I don't know.
Yeah. And I also wonder, like, obviously that was a huge scandal less than a decade ago, and I think certain people, or like a section of people, followed it in depth, but I also know there are a lot of people who just never follow it at all. Like, you just don't care about the story, and it's just like, oh, another like Silicon Valley scam,
right?
I
mean, we'll see. I can see doing really well or getting not in. I don't know. A lot of this is I don't know. And my favorite commenter is gonna be like, what an idiot. All he says is I don't know.
Don't listen to us. This is no idea what we're talking about.
Just listen to our final picks next week. Those are going to be like, we're going to be locked in really tight. It's going to be great. Going to get perfect scores.
Yes, we're going to kill it especially in limited series.
Oh, good. We definitely know what's going on.
The most predictable genre, of course.
Definitely know what's going on there. Joyce, so voting is now over when you're watching this. We're recording this. It's still going on, but no one knows that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I don't know. What did you think of the past 10 days of campaigning?
I mean, like I said, things I noticed were like a lot of Pam and Tommy, a lot of Yellow Jackets going hard. A lot of We Crash still and Anne. I don't know. I think there's certain people have been really pushing, but I don't know if that means that much. Abbott Elementary was another one, actually, I think that really got out there. Quinta Brunson's been like
Quinta tweeted over the weekend, or no, it was yesterday, because she's like, tomorrow is the last day of voting. Please consider us.
Yeah.
And Ray Seahorn also tweeted yesterday.
She's going for it.
She misspelled your.
Tough beat. I don't think that's going to get her snubbed, but it's not going to help.
No, because people don't know how to spell on the internet, I mean, people misuse apostrophes all the time, and it kills me. So
what do you think? I guess, what is a show or something that you were like, oh, I wish this would have had more legitimate juice?
In any genre?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't just have to be limited.
I don't know if like a show in general, but like specific parts of like certain shows. Like I think Julia Roberts is really great. Anne Hathaway is really great. Like I want them to be nominated. I don't know if they will be. I think Loki is deserving. I don't know. Yeah. I think it's top 10 in drama, but I feel like it might just miss out. And like every above the line category, basically. It's
tough because I think Loki's better than WandaVision, I think, straight up. Mm-hmm. And I think it's not going to get anywhere near the amount of praise that it should. It's in 21st in our odds in drama. I really think it could get in, though, or it should get in. If I was doing it, I'd probably put it in. And then, I don't know. I think, Tom should be considered. I just feel like he should.
Yeah, no, the cast is great. Rashidi Grant, I still have him in drama guest actor.
There you go. I wish I could find room for Sophie DiMartino.
Yeah, in supporting.
She's great. She's so good, I thought. I loved her as Sylvie. Great part, great performance. And especially, I was not super familiar with her work, and just loved it.
Yeah, but it's just like, our other faves that we've talked about, like Minx and After Party. Do you still have After Party in?
I do have After Party, and I still have Jake in, but I know those are not happening probably. So I'm just going down with the ship. I also have Sadie Sink in, who I love for Stranger Things, my favorite show.
Are you ready for?
Well, I keep emailing Netflix to send me the screeners, and I have not heard back yet. So
you're just gonna have to watch it with regular people.
Watch it with the folks, like I do most of my other things.
You block out 4 hours?
No, I gotta find time to do it. It's so long. Yeah, I have her in. I still have her in as well.
I don't know. Yeah, do you have any other shows or people we have not talked about? Because we literally talk about the same ones every time.
We talk about the same ones every time. I would stump for Euphoria. There was a time when Scott Feinberg had all 3 Euphoria actresses in supporting. I remember. I don't forget. He had Maude Apatow, Hunter Schafer, and Sydney Sweeney in. And now that he doesn't have them in. Hunter Schafer, I think, is great on Euphoria. She's so good. I just don't know if she had enough to.
She should have been nominated last season.
That's the thing. I think she should have been nominated last season. This season she was not in it as much. Maude Apatow, I would nominate for this season. She's great. I love her on the show. How about people love Evil?
Yeah.
But nothing. I don't think it's gonna make it.
Another Paramount Plus show. I think it's more in the realm of The Good Fight, where they're like the older shows on the network. And I think if now Paramount Plus, formerly known as CBS All Access, is finally going to break through in a major way, it will be because of 1883 or even The Offer.
Let me give you a Galaxy Brain anecdote from personal experience. My daughter's gotten into Paw Patrol, which is now on Paramount Plus.
Love Paw Patrol. Marshall's my favorite.
She's talked and she literally goes, it's on Paramount Plus. That she's 4. She knows Paramount Plus. So
Paramount Plus is her favorite streaming service.
Now it's her favorite streaming service. And I know for a fact that kids really like that. My daughter is probably too young for it, but Sonic the Hedgehog, really enjoyable. Big hit movie, Sonic 2. Both those things are on Paramount.
Schwartz, our guy.
Love Ben Schwartz. When you open up the Paramount app, the top thing is almost invariably Evil. It's just, they're just blanketing.
Well, season 3 just premiered.
So my question is, do you think if you're a Television Academy voter who is actually using Paramount Plus because your kids love those things, which are specific to the app? Are you just like inundated with enough evil that you're just like, man, maybe I should check out this evil show, and it works, and they get surprise nominations?
Maybe, but I also feel like that's just been maybe just in June because season 3 premiered on June 12th. Like, what was the top show in May on Paramount?
Right, but I'm just saying right now is the perfect time for Evil season 3 to have premiered because it's voting is happening or was happening. So maybe they're just like,
yeah, but then they also have to watch it too. Like, do they have
but maybe they're just like, that seems like I'm gonna vote for it, or I'll watch one episode and I liked it. That Evil show's good.
Well, also here's the other thing that we've talked about before. We like to imagine that voters just vote by themselves in a bubble, like taking a test in a classroom.
That's not how
but
it works.
they don't.
They're texting their friends. What should I vote for?
Their friends, their family, their kids.
What do you think? Who should I vote for?
Yeah. What did you watch? Tell me who to vote for. It's unlimited. I could vote for 53 people here.
Oh man, I got to keep writing names down. Tell me who to vote for.
Yeah. So, like, how many people do that? Most of them.
Most of them. Absolutely most of them. I don't know. That's all I got, Joyce, for limited series. We're gonna come back and we're gonna do our final predictions next week, which I cannot wait for. All the categories. There's so many categories.
Yeah. I mean, there's ones like we haven't even discussed yet, like reality, which we can spend like 2 seconds on because
reality and animated. I love my animated stuff, Joyce.
Are you going for Arcane?
Yeah, sure. I'll Google what that is first, and then
Arcane with Ella Purnell and Haley Steinfeld. It's on
Amazon, right?
Netflix.
Oh,
theme song by Imagine Dragons.
Oh, I love that. I'll have to check it out. We're gonna come back, and later this week we're gonna do our Oscars playback 1994 Schindler's List. You excited about that?
Yeah, I haven't watched the ceremony yet, so
I haven't either, so that'll be fun. But I'll tell you what, I watched The Firm. We'll talk about this.
I know you told me.
Great experience. Definitely fell asleep watching it the first night and had to come back to it the second night, but still a great time.
Is that a good thing?
It is, because I was just tired. But this is great, Joyce. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.